Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full review for this Redmi K20 Pro. And I've been actually using this for the last 12 days, and I'm using it in the dual SIM mode. So I'm using it in my Airtel and Jio SIM, and I've used it in the real world now. So I want to share my experience, and I'll divide it between the pros and cons so that you can decide if this is right for you or not. And I have to say, I am impressed with this phone because it gets a lot of things right, but some of the peculiar things that we expect, some of the things it goes wrong with, but we'll talk about that. But before that, here are the quick specs for the K20 Pro. As you can see, it's powered by the Snapdragon 855 SoC, and it comes with the 6.39-inch AMOLED screen, and it comes with the 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, and other specs are on the screen for your reference. So let's quickly break it down between the pros and cons. First, let's talk about the pros. And the first thing that I liked about this device is the build quality. This is the first, you could say, smartphone from Redmi that's sort of a flagship phone. And in terms of build quality, they did not disappoint me. The build quality is really good. The buttons don't shake, or it doesn't feel cheap, I would say. So in terms of build quality, they have done a very good job. It feels like a premium smartphone. Now coming to the screen, here also, they didn't compromise. It has this bright Super AMOLED screen. It's a 6.39-inch Full HD Plus screen, and I've just lowered the brightness, guys, and it's a very good quality screen that they have given. It also has this in-display fingerprint scanner, and it also works every time. This is as good as the OnePlus 7 in-display fingerprint scanner. It never disappointed me. You also have the face unlock, but as this was working very well, the in-display fingerprint scanner, I simply didn't opt for the face unlocking. So a good AMOLED screen. I also like the fact that the auto brightness sensor calibration has been done very well on this device, and I didn't have to manually fiddle around with the manual brightness. Now coming to the earpiece, this has actually become very important. I don't know about you guys, but I do take a lot of phone calls. So for me, a smartphone, the earpiece quality should be good. And fortunately, I would say the earpiece quality on this phone is actually really good. Much better than many of the other, flagships that we get in this price point. I was never disappointed with the call quality on this one. The earpiece quality is really good. Now moving to the network reception. As I mentioned, I tested here with Airtel and Jio, and I'm happy to say that the network reception is above average. That means in this room with Airtel also, I was able to take some calls. So the network reception was good on this phone. So that's actually a nice thing. Now moving to the speakers, it just has a single speaker here at the bottom, but the speaker is actually pretty loud. So when I was taking calls via the speaker phone or watching YouTube videos, I didn't have a problem with this one, but they should have given us stereo speakers, I would say. Now moving to another small thing with this device is that we still have a physical LED notification light, but it's hidden within this pop-up camera. I don't have a notification right now, but as you can see, it comes over here. So a nice touch, I would say. We have the physical LED notification light on this. And I also like the fact that Xiaomi has allowed us to have this always on screen. By default, it won't be there, but you can go to the settings and enable it. And I was testing the phone for the last 12 days with this always on display. And then also I got good battery life. I'll talk about the battery life later on. So good thing in that respect also. Now moving to another thing that I like with this phone is that they have retained this 3.5mm headphone jack. And the audio quality I was getting from this one is actually really good. It could even drive big headphones like this Audio-Technica M40, M50 and other headphones I tested. So if you listen to a lot of music with wired headphones, if you have good quality wired headphones, this will drive it easily. The output that you get is really good. And even in the settings in audio, you can tweak around with the settings if you really want. Now moving to another thing is regarding gaming. Again, it's a flagship phone with the Snapdragon 855 and the Adreno 640 GPU. So the gaming is also good on this. I didn't play a lot of games, but I did play a little bit of PUBG, and it handled it without any issues. Also in normal day-to-day usage, I would say I never had a problem of RAM management on this device or anything like overheating. Yes, after PUBG, after 20 minutes, the back portion felt slightly warm, but again, that's sort of normal with any smartphone. Now, let's also talk about the battery. It has that 4000 milliamp hour battery. And I would say if we compare it with other smartphones, flagship smartphones, I would say the battery life on this one is actually really good. And as I've told you, I was always using this phone with this always on display. So these battery results are based on that. And as you can see, in terms of SOT, you can get anywhere between 5.5 to about 6.5 hours of SOT. But this is with dual SIM, almost 90% time on mobile data, and I'm getting about 1.5 days of standby time with this one. So battery life is really good. I would say for a typical heavy user also, it can go about 7 to 7.5 hours. So in terms of battery life, Xiaomi has done a very good job. And if you want further more battery life, I think so if you disable this always on display, you can eke out about 30 minutes extra of SOT. So in terms of battery life, I'm really happy with this one. In fact, I would say it gets the battery life slightly better than the OnePlus 7. Now, if you talk about the camera, if you look at the back, it has a triple camera setup. The main camera is a 48 megapixel. Then we also have a wide angle lens that's a 13 megapixel. And finally, we have 8 megapixel, that's a 2x zoom. And the front facing camera is that pop-up camera that comes up, and this is a 20 megapixel. First, let's talk about the rear facing camera. And as you can see with the sample shots, in outdoor conditions, the camera performance is really good. I like it. It doesn't try to over boost the colors. It looks actually pretty natural. So in terms of color reproduction and sharpness in outdoor conditions, as you can see, it does a very good job. I also like the fact that it has that wide angle mode. So that's actually really good. And also the portrait mode in outdoor condition does a decent job. But when we move to indoor lighting conditions and we use the portrait mode, the camera performance is really weak. As you can see, these portrait shots are very soft in indoor lighting. So that's one of the biggest weakness that I have noticed with this device. But if you don't use the portrait mode, you use the regular 48 megapixel lens in indoor lighting, then the performance is good. So I feel, again, I have applied one update that came on this device, but even after that update, the portrait mode in indoor lighting is very soft to my liking. But apart from that, the camera is good. Now moving to the front facing camera, luckily here, the front facing camera that's a 20 megapixel does a very good job, as you can see. And on this one, even in the portrait mode, the performance is actually really good. So the front facing camera performance is actually really good. Now moving to video, here are some of the samples that I have taken so that you can judge it for yourself. Shooting this video with the front facing camera of this Redmi K20 Pro, and as you can see, I'm just walking around, and the audio is also being recorded via its internal microphone. So this should give you an idea how is the video recording with the front facing camera of this Redmi K20 Pro. Now shooting this video in the wide angle mode with this rear facing camera of this Redmi K20 Pro, and it's nice to see that we are able to record video in this wide angle mode. Now I'm recording in the regular mode, and as you can see, I'm just walking around. This does not have any optical image stabilization, but it employs electronic image stabilization. So you be a judge and let me know what do you think about the video recording with the rear facing camera of this Redmi K20 Pro. So guys, these were the good things about this device. Now let's move to the cons. And I would say apart from just one con, other things are sort of nitpicking, but it's my job to mention all the things that I have noticed. And the first thing is that generally most of the Redmi phones do have a IR blaster, but we simply do not have a IR blaster on this one. Also, now the Asus 6Z and the OnePlus 7 are coming with a stereo speaker, but we simply do not have any stereo speaker setup on this one. So that is also one thing that is sort of missing. And this might be a personal thing. I simply do not like the color combination of this red and the blue one. They look too funky to my liking. I would say if you're going for this one, go with that carbon black one. That looks a lot more classier than this one. And lastly, as I've mentioned, the portrait mode that we have in indoor lighting conditions is actually, as of now, very weak. And I would say avoid using it unless it's necessary. I feel Xiaomi should have given optical image stabilization, because in low lighting situation, indoor lighting situation, you notice that there is quite a bit of shake because the shutter speed is simply not that fast. And now coming to the ad situation, when I set up the device, I had always disabled all the ad options. If you see my unboxing, you'll know that. And the good thing is that we are not getting any full screen ads on this one. That's actually a very good thing. But I have seen some notifications from me specific apps showing notifications every day 3 or 4 times. Yes, you can disable it, but I've seen it multiple times with multiple apps that are doing that. So that is a minor thing that I do not like, but we are not getting as of now full ads like we do get on other Redmi smartphones. So these were the main cons of this device. As you see, it's actually a pretty good device. Now, the biggest debate about this device was regarding the pricing. And because I think so that happened because of our expectations with the Poco F1. Poco F1 was also launched by Xiaomi. This is also launched by Xiaomi. So many of you, and even I was expecting that this might be priced around 25 to 26,000. But this starts at 28,000. And the higher end variant that comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM is for 31,000. Yes, I do feel the pricing is slightly on the higher side, but if you look at the overall picture, this is not a bad phone, apart from some of the minor cons that I have mentioned. So anyways, what do you guys think about this one? But now I feel, considering the price point of this one, this is now very close to the Asus 6Z and even the OnePlus 7. So again, you got to decide if this is right for you or not. But as a smartphone, I would say overall, if you look at the pros that I have mentioned, it's a very strong smartphone. But the question is, are you willing to pay that 30,000, around the 30,000 price point for a Redmi smartphone? That will be the biggest test. Anyways, guys, that's it for now for this review. And if you guys are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.